Okay guys, so I just got to Bro after a long trip to Sydney, where I attended the 5th World Conference for Women's Shelters this year. So I know that, you know what, I'm going home to the kids, back to work, back to reality, and I'm not going to be able to sit down and talk about and share the information that I got from there with you guys. So I'm going to do it now because I've got a 2-hour drive back home. So yeah, it was a wonderful experience. We left on Sunday, started Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then now I'm going back on a Friday. But it was such a beautiful experience. There were so many women from all over the world. I'm happy to say that there's so many people standing against this movement about violence against women and children. And it is generally a women's conference, but it was really nice to see a few men there. Not many, but there were men there supporting this cause. And yeah, a few came to speak up, and I got one of the books from Jackson Katz from America. He stands tall and strong against violence against women and children. So yeah, it was an amazing experience. I can't stop saying that. We did so many, there were so many workshops. So what happened was we had musicians. We had an Aboriginal musician called Shellie Moore, if I'm not mistaken. I'll check on that one. She sings in 20 different dialects, languages, and she was great entertainment. She also had a workshop there. We also had a chance to speak to, or rather hear, survivor stories. So yeah, lived experience. And one of the people that was really fascinating to me, and my colleague pointed out, was Anna or Anne O'Neill. She's an elderly lady. Almost about 30 years ago, her husband broke into their house in Perth and shot the entire family, including her. So the 2 little kids were killed, and then she was really badly injured. So yeah, she came up and spoke about all that. And we also touched on things like AI and how it's affecting this whole domestic violence dynamic, like the different layers to it, and how it's making it easier for perpetrators to track their partners. Okay, I'm going too slow, sorry. Talks about we spoke about how AI or technology is just a new tool to enforce old behaviors for the perpetrators, because it's just making their life easier. Imagine back then, if she leaves the house, you really can't find her besides the word of mouth. Now he can just hack her phone, and it's really not that hard to hack a phone. When you first think of someone tracking you, you think of an AirTag. And a good thing about an AirTag is if there's an AirTag in this car, my phone will pick it up and say, oh, there's an AirTag. I can even make it ring and stuff. But you've got other devices that are on Temu, Shein, wherever you find them. There's other devices there, and you never know that it's a tracking device. So it can just be a pin in the car. It's an ordinary pin, but it has a tracking device in it. Or you know how you have the cigarette lighters in the car? You can take out the car's original cigarette lighter and then put in the Temu one, which is a tracker. And yeah, you're just never gonna know, you know. That's this guy is tracking me, or this woman is tracking me. That's another thing about domestic violence. Yes, the numbers are really high when it comes to violence against women, but there are also men out there, and we acknowledge that there's men out there dealing with domestic violence and the perpetrator is a woman. I just want to put that out there. We're not saying women are perfect, but the numbers show that men are just causing havoc in this world. Let's say you guys are finally separating. Domestic violence continues even after a separation. That's another thing you people need to take into consideration, is that thing of saying, hey, why doesn't she just leave, blah blah blah. Yeah, she can leave, but it only continues, because what he has now is to use the children to control her as well, because he still has rights to the kids, depending on how the case goes, but he has rights to the kids and tells her, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that, or he's tracking her through the kids' iPads, the games, because he would have set it up, you know. So yeah, just keep that in mind, that when someone comes and tell you about domestic violence and you tell them, oh, why don't you just leave, you need to take a moment to think that already by you saying that, you've discouraged her, because you haven't given her a solution. Telling her to leave, where do you expect her to go? And even if she does leave, it's not a guarantee that the violence is going to stop, or the coercive control is going to stop. So just another thing I always talk about is just be mindful about your language. I mean, I work in the industry. I know the language that I'm supposed to use, but sometimes I still say the wrong thing. But yeah, just reflect on the things you say. You know, when someone comes to you, sometimes all you need to do is just listen. Especially for women. We know you can't solve our problems, but you just listening and just showing that you're interested and you can help just by simply listening. So yeah, we touched on AI. What else did we do? We touched on culture. Whoa, and that's a massive thing, because the cultures are so different. Like, not even culture, we can even talk about the economy and how it affects domestic violence. But I need you people to understand that, for example, in Africa, the rate of domestic violence is really, really high, but people can't really report it because, let me see, can I overtake? People can't, I need to put on my glasses. Yes, I can. People can't really report it. For example, a woman who is a stay-at-home mom, and dad is the one that does everything, yeah? Just going to increase the speed. And dad is the one who is the breadwinner. He has full control of everything. Decision making, finances, everything. And there's domestic violence there. And then let's shift it to the western side, where we are, where women are more independent. They have a bit of freedom to do what they want. They're making their own money. They do have a say in what happens in the house, but still, domestic violence is still happening here in the western countries and all that, in Asia and everywhere. So we need to understand that domestic violence against women and children is not a woman's problem, it's a man's problem. So I'm challenging you guys as men to call out your friends. If he's doing something wrong, like, just tell him, mate, you need to stop this, it's wrong. And even the women, call out your friend. If she's doing something horrible to her husband for no reason, I should do things for reasons. But anyway, I mean, it's just the same thing. Why can't you tell the man to leave? Because he's the one who's causing violence. Why can't you tell him to leave? You know? So yeah, it's such a complex topic, because, you know, not just two people. With domestic violence, it affects the entire neighborhood. It affects kids at school. Yes, domestic violence is happening mainly happening between mom and dad. But then mom is depressed. She takes it out on the kids, or she neglects the kids. And then those kids that are damaged are coming to school and learn with your kids, or learn with our kids, or however you want to put it, is that domestic violence affects everyone. Don't ever think that you are isolated, or you think you've never experienced it. Everyone has experienced it one way or the other, especially coming from Africa. Like, you can't tell your parents anything. It starts there with your parents just being unable to listen to their children when something is wrong, and they just want to pick up a stick and just whoop the shit out of them. So it's a cultural thing, in the sense that we've been brought up in such a way to believe that our elders know everything and we can't answer them back and things like that, which is a good thing to a certain extent. But if someone is wrong, no matter how old they are, you need to be able to tell them. You don't need to shout at them, you don't need to be rude or just disrespectful, but you need to be able to say, I understand what you're saying, I understand where you're coming from, but look at it from my side. If you don't agree, it's still okay, but also just take the time to listen to me from my side. Man, there's so many things going through my head. I think I'll talk the whole way. Another thing we tend to neglect, to overlook. Another thing we tend to overlook is the children. Even when women come to the shelter, the main focus is on mom, because mom has been bashed. She's in pain, but she still needs to care for the children, because we don't have the capacity to care for kids. We can help and do all that, but she still needs to be in a place where she can care for the kids. So much attention shifts to the mom, and then the kids are sort of left under her wing, and she's not at a place where she can really cater to the children, because she's going through so much. And when she comes to the shelter as well, she's telling us just what's on the surface. Oh, he got drunk and he bashed me today, but what are the other layers, or the things that he's been doing before that, like taking her phone, going through her phone, accusing her of stuff, taking away her money, shouting at her about the kids, you don't raise these kids well, just chipping away at someone's self-esteem, someone's worth and everything, things like that. She won't mention that, because in the moment we're only talking about this incident where he got drunk and he hit her with a broomstick, or he hit her with a shovel, or he chased her with an axe. We just don't have the capacity. And children are not witnesses, by the way. Children are victims of domestic violence. You can't tell me that someone who is sitting there, like a child who is sitting there and saying, and listening to mom and dad fighting, whether it's verbal, whether it's physical, whether it's what, listening to those two fighting, and then they're cowering somewhere under the bed, hiding in a corner, sitting with their siblings, especially the older siblings, because now the older siblings want to shield the younger siblings from all this rubbish that's happening. So you can't tell me that they are witnesses. They are actual victims because of what they're feeling in that moment. After a night of being unable to sleep because mom and dad are at each other's throats, swearing, shouting, what a family. So I'm challenging you to speak up about it. Please don't just keep these things to yourself. The only way we can fight it is by talking about it. My ice cream is melting. It's by talking about it, and helping when needed. If someone comes and tell you something that's really confidentiality, let's touch on that one. If someone tells you about their situation at home, she's feeling. And then you, especially family members, unless the person that is telling you the story asks you to go and confront that perpetrator, never ever ever attempt to do such a thing. Never ever attempt to do such a thing, because what happens is a perpetrator is a perpetrator to that person only. They're not a perpetrator to the rest of the world. So they'll get angry, so you go there obviously trying to defend your sister or whatever, and you go and then you tell that guy, hey, winner, I lose my sister. He's obviously going to get so pissed at her for telling their business. And that's how they are. They don't want other people to know what's going on in the house, because they know what they're doing is wrong. They know. But unless the victim asks you to confront the perpetrator, do not do it. Via text, by phone call, upfront, do not do it, because you're putting her in an even difficult position than before. So just think before you talk. Ask them, do they need anything? Do you want me to do anything? Do you want me to speak to them? No. If the answer is no, don't try to convince her otherwise. The goal, cold. The goal is to make sure she's safe. Even if she's not happy in that moment, as long as she's safe, until she's ready to make the decision to leave. And you need to understand that leaving is also a very big step. We touched on emotions and how society makes women out to be these emotional pieces of, I don't know, but they make us out to be the unstable ones. But when you look at the numbers, who's getting so angry and killing their wife and kids at the end of the day? Who is it that doesn't know how to control the emotions? The numbers speak for themselves, and the rates of suicide in males is higher than females as well, meaning that these people, they're not the macho people that they make themselves out to be as well. That being said, we also need to understand the other side of the perpetrator. The perpetrator sometimes can be simply a damaged human being. Hurt people. So he doesn't know how to deal with his emotions, and now he's taking it out on her. And I mean, it's not an excuse, but it's also another layer that goes into it. Just like when the moms come to the shelter there, you find that the kids are very disrespectful to the mother, because they see the father speaking to their mother in that way. And then there's the respect, there's just no respect. So the kids are growing up and are basically potential future perpetrators. But we're not picking that up. We don't have the resources to cater to the issue, because in that moment what we focus on is the mother, but the kids are, like I said, they're not witnesses, they're victims. They need, whether it's counseling, whatever, therapy, whatever they need to talk to someone and be able to deal with whatever they're going through, because they're little kids. I mean, if a grown man can't control his emotions and stuff, what more a little kid? We can't put that pressure on these people. I just need to stop and get fuel, and then I shall continue my discussion. We go back to, why doesn't she leave? Let's talk about a mother who has young children like myself. Marriage in the society, especially African culture, is regarded as something that's up there. I myself can testify At some point I thought marriage was everything. Well, not everything, but coming from my background, I wanted to do things differently when I decided to have a family and have kids. So society puts this pressure on women, and it's a Shona thing as well, African. I'll say Shona because there's a saying called Shingirira Murora. So what happens is, mom is being abused in some way, physically, verbally, emotionally, mentally, financially. So many ways of abuse is happening. So many ways of abuse, and she's telling herself, "Oh, my kids are young, I can't leave yet." And the reason for this is not necessarily. It's not. How can I put it? A perpetrator at times can only be a perpetrator to the wife or the mother of the children, but can be an excellent father figure to the kids. Now this is something we can debate on, because you can also debate and say that if he was a good father, then he wouldn't be doing that to the mother. But in general, I mean, he's causing harm indirectly. He's causing harm indirectly. But yeah, most people can't see it that way. So what happens is, mom knows she's being abused, but she's saying, okay, my kids need their father, so I can take this. I can take this for the next 18 years. I can take this. As soon as my kids turn 18, I'll leave. But what happens is, what if she's in a situation where he's saying you can't work, you need to stay at home with the kids, or when she does get a job and starts working, he's just causing havoc, like making comments about her bosses. What were you doing talking to that one? You know, the abuse is so subtle. It is so subtle that people don't even know that they're being abused. So mom stays, kids turn 18, and then mom doesn't have the resources to leave. By this time, we are looking at someone who's elderly, and meaning the perpetrator, the man, he's elderly. So what is happening? There's a shift between, I've been a mother and a wife for 20 years, raising children, playing the wifey role, and then now the kids have left. My partner is older, my husband is older. Now I'm going from wife into the role of a carer. That's what happens. Wifey ends up taking care of the husband because he's now elderly, and even as she transitions into this carer role, he's still abusing her. We can even talk about the cases where husband leaves wife, goes out there, has kids, has more wives, does whatever he does, comes back with HIV, infects the wife, but he ends up sick, so she ends up taking care of him. And that's her whole entire life just gone like, because as much as he is a narcissist or an abuser, whatever you want to call him, as much as he is that, he is the father of her children. So she's gotten into that, the next phase of, I can't leave the father of my children. What will my children say? He's the father of my children. And so the cycle continues. So I need you people to understand that the sacrifices that women make to be married to you. I'm very passionate about this. I'm very passionate about this domestic violence issue. I'm really passionate about it. I think about it a lot. It's an industry that I actually enjoy being in. I enjoy reading about it. I enjoy researching about it. Yeah, and I would love for the women back home to have better opportunities and like shelters where they can go and take the kids and get a head start. Because you know, African women are so strong. They're just resilient. They're just so strong. If you give them the opportunity to get their life together, they will do it. They won't even hesitate to do it. Another topic we spoke on, this lady, man, I can't pronounce her name. She's from Ukraine. She's in the LGBTQ plus. Yeah, she identifies as a lesbian, and she was speaking about how marriage, just the term marriage, has caused a lot of issues, because women are always regarded as lesser than men. It sort of sets the foundation for domestic violence. If your partner is looking at you as less than, you are unable to appreciate what they bring to the table. This is why men of nowadays are so quick to say, what does she bring to the table? And yeah, we actually touched a lot on that, and it was a room full of women, I must say, married, single, and all of them are against marriage and the trauma that comes with marriage. The trauma that comes with marriage, you lose your identity as a wife, you lose your identity as a mother, you just completely lose your identity. You are giving yourself to this person and allowing them. That's why statistics show that married men live longer compared to single men, and then single women live longer than married women. I never knew that. I always thought married women live longer. I don't know why. I thought married women were taken care of, but I guess not. Yeah, it was really sad to see how many women are not so fond of the whole marriage dynamic, because you lose your surname, and you lose your surname in a way that you, let's say your husband does allow you to be, let's talk about other countries, like what? I don't know what country she gave me. I think it was, she used Ukraine as an example, where they no longer call you by your first name. You now identify as, in my case, Mugwagwa. I'm now Mugwagwa, right? So when you're building your career, you're always tied to your husband. You're no longer, your identity is tied to your husband, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's still, this person is driving so slow. Let me go. There's a car there. I can't talk when I'm overtaking. I don't want to die. There's cows and stuff here. They go. And yet she shall say, hey Kim, you're speeding with the car. This is a work car, by the way. I'm supposed to stay within the speed limit. So it was really sad to see that people are against marriage to that extent. Even the married ones, you know, all the sacrifices you make. And if you think about it, men, the only sacrifice that men are making is a financial sacrifice to his family, and he thinks that that's enough. And yeah, thank you for listening. I hope you got something out of it. I know I took too much, but yeah, I hope you got something out of this. I hope you will try to check yourself and reflect on what you've done in someone's life. When someone comes and asks you for help, I hope you can sit there and reflect and say, oh my God, I shouldn't have done that. Shouldn't have can safely say the people in my life have been really supportive. They're not judgmental. Maybe they're judgmental out there, but towards me they've been really supportive in every single thing that I've been through. And yeah, it's been really, I know that I have a really good circle, from the smaller circle to the bigger circle to the bigger circle. I know that I'm surrounded by people who are really amazing. And I just want to thank you people for that. And even the interactions that I get from these videos that I post are just awesome, because people start speaking up about their childhood traumas, past relationships, current baby daddy situations, current marriage situations. They start speaking up, and it's, yeah, then you know that no one is alone in this fight against violence against women and children. So please be part of the movement. Please be part of the movement and show your support any way you can. It doesn't take that much. Just check that free.